Okay, this is an experiment in live video in a different location. And also, today I've reversed the camera around so that you can actually see me properly. And I can look at the lens, and I've got like a mirror behind me so I can see what I look like. So a different kind of solution here on the camera here. But so going live is easier for me in terms of it gets it done, because it means I actually do this and I don't kind of like prevaricate over it. So what I want to talk about today, there are loads of topics have come up, but one of them that has come up today is this idea of the advert is not the whole story. So I get this a lot with people saying, oh, we need to get some advertising out. We need to get an advert out. I need to get some promotion out. So we kind of get this process. So an advert contains two things, probably three things actually. There's a headline that needs to be considered. So when an advert is put together, we've obviously got to determine who it's for, because the headline has to attract that right attention. So the headline is the first part that gets looked at. And then there's the body of the advert, the copy of it. What is the advert trying to say? What is the rest of the hook? Now, it could just be a headline. Sometimes a headline's enough. And then from that point, you have the call to action, the process which takes people to the next step. And it's always that next step that has to be considered. Now, this is why I'm such a big thing about strategy, because it's all very well saying we need an advert. You say, okay, you've got an advert. Now what? Where does it go? What happens after they've looked at the advert? Because, you can all have this reach idea of reaching more people that get to see your publication, your advert. Great, we've got some reach. What does reach mean? It just means that you got your advert seen by someone. And the next part is some sort of engagement. So what does engagement mean? They liked the advert. Well, that ain't actually going to be very useful. This whole idea of getting likes on posts and things, it's lovely to get a few likes, but likes aren't actually something you can take to Tesco's and buy food with. So we've actually got to get clicks at the end of the day. We've got to get people to go through somewhere. And this is where the strategy now begins. It's like, okay, we've got an advert out in the world. We've got someone to take notice. We've got someone to click. Now what? Where to now? So pick up the phone and call us. You see, now there's another problem in advertising in the modern world. We have got so used to not phoning people. What a terrible English. People have got so funny about making phone calls. They'd rather send an email or a text than make a phone call. And this happens a lot. And for the younger generation, it's more than ever. I know from my son's perspective, he phones nobody. Everything is done by text or by instant messaging. Or going on some kind of platform somewhere and leaving a message there. And I don't think he's alone in this. I think this is a massive thing. So the phone, while it is an amazing bit of communications technology, people aren't using him to make phone calls. So this is back to this thing about what is the purpose of the advert. What are you looking to try and get people to do? Now, all right, when the phone does work is when the thing is so amazing, is so needed now, this moment, people will pick up the phone. But you've got to overcome that level of resistance to making a phone call to a stranger. So, okay, we get them to do something. Now, that might be to click a link, open a web page. And now you've got a whole other raft of things that come in on strategy from that perspective, because the web page has got to look something like the advert. And in terms of the advert, there's got to be congruity. Congruity? It's got to be congruent between one to the other. So when they looked at the advert, whatever they arrive at the page has now got to be saying the same story and maybe expanding that story. And then whatever the next step is, that's got to be another layer of kind of coaching people down this road. I mean, it's all very well when you're working with people that are really switched on to do something, but when you're actually trying to get people to do something that either has some emotional charge or has some resistance to, you're going to have to walk them down the steps every single part of the journey. So that was just my thoughts today around this thing, because it's come up a couple of times this week where I've been looking at advertising for people and it's been going, hang on a minute, we don't actually have a story at the back of this. We don't actually know why we're doing this. Yeah, I know we want to make more sales, but what does that actually mean? Another thing came up this week, it was like we were talking about a project and I'm going, hang on a minute, what's it worth at the end of the day? Where's the revenue at the back of this? Not a lot. Why are we doing it? The strategy has to fit the outcome. Anyway, that's I think that's enough for my live today, because I don't want to ramble too long on these things, but it's fascinating to look at this stuff and to find solutions to it, and that's the bit that I love in terms of developing strategy for people. Anyway, the reason I came here today to do my video in this corner of the living room is I've got my computer doing a rendering of a video and it's making a howling noise over it. So I thought I'd do it here because it was just too noisy upstairs. Anyway, it's been lovely talking to you, and I will talk to you tomorrow.